Hey everybody, welcome to my album analysis for Sleep Token's Take Me Back to Eden. If you're watching this video, I'm going to assume that you've heard the album before because I'm going to kind of talk through it and some things that I like, some things I don't really like. There aren't many things that I don't really like, just spoilers. I love this album. This album is amazing. I wouldn't be doing a musical analysis of it if I didn't love this album. But there's some things I'm a little iffy on. As an album, I think it flows really well, and I'm going to talk about that as I kind of go through the whole video. So what this is, it is going to be just a lot of playing the album and me talking over the music. So if you haven't heard it before, I highly recommend you go listen to it. This isn't a reaction, it's a musical analysis. So I'm going to be talking about things that I like musically, things that I don't. If you don't know anything about me, I am a professional musician. I teach private voice, piano, violin, clarinet, whatever other instrument lessons. I teach those lessons, and I'm hoping to take that knowledge that I have and put it towards the music that I like, because a lot of the times the stuff I teach in lessons is either really basic or not really metal adjacent at all. I've had a few students who are into metal, and I've taught them some metal stuff, but not really. So also, Sleep Token isn't really metal either. They have some metal songs, but they're more metal adjacent. Like, they're big in the metal community, but they don't write exclusively metal music, if that makes sense. I'm sure if you know anything about Sleep Token, you know that already. I don't need to be explaining this to you if you know Sleep Token. If you don't know much of Sleep Token, why are you here? Go listen to the album and then come back. Anyway, let's start this thing. So I'm just going to play it through and talk about stuff I like. That's it. All right, let's start. Chokehold. Boom. So while this is going, this whole like minute-long intro, amazing start to the album. When they released this as the first single, I had a feeling it was going to be the first track on the album. And they released the songs, I think, pretty much with the exception of Do You Wish That You Loved Me, they released the songs in album order. It was like Chokehold Summoning, then the next week was Granite, Aqua, regia, then it was Vore, I think like 2 weeks later, and then it was Do You Wish That You Loved Me? So we've got this really good, weird sort of like synthy, industrial something going on in the background. And then you've got Vessel's vocals coming over top, and then here's... Then the chord changes. And we finally get a different chord after almost a minute of the same chord. And then it comes back. So take a look at this. Let me see if I can pull this up. Yeah, look, I had this little piano thing. There, that's better. You can see the door, but who cares, really? Honestly, it doesn't matter. Adds a little spice to the background, right? You got my closet, you got the door. All right, check it out. So we're in the key of G minor here. So you have When We Were Made. You got that part. And then it goes to Tangled Up Like Branches in the Flood. And then back here, I come as a blade. Like that whole part, you know, that he sings. So we're starting here with the one chord in G minor. Then it goes to the 7. Then to the 4. And then back to the 1. Interesting chord progression. Let's keep going. And already you know what you're in for with the vocals. Back to that 7th chord. To the 4 chord, and then back to the 1. It goes to the 4 chord very briefly. And then the drum track kicks in. And then one of my favorite parts of the album is the like those vocals over top. That part is so cool because it's such a huge contrast from the first part, where you've got the brrr just going for like almost 2 minutes straight here, right? We're at the 153, about a little bit into this section, and then it just like hard cuts to and then you have the little drum coming in with like synth cymbal taps, and then you've got the like upper vocals, the whatever that is. I don't think those are the exact notes, but whatever. And then listen, you have, I'm gonna go back a bit. that with the little piano bit here too. So it's very artificial drum wise. You've got like the and you got some boom, you got some like 808 stuff in there. Not quite 808s, but you know, same kind of thing. Like deep bass, the little bass drums you don't get with a real drum kit. And then you've got the ethereal vocals, and you have the little piano with just like little half note accents here and there. Creates a really cool atmosphere, lots of reverb and everything too. And then it hits, and we get that bendy guitar coming in. Same chords. 4, 1. And the drum pattern changes up a bit too. You hear that China cymbal come in. To the 4. To the 1. So just in that beginning part, in that first verse and chorus part, there's so much going on already, and it's constantly changing up too. It never stays in one place for too long, and that's one of the best parts of this album, is there's always something happening. There's something switching up, with the exception of a little bit of stuff that I'll get to, but let's keep going. Let's keep going. And then we go to the second verse, which has a completely different melody from the first verse. Same chord progression though. And then you have like a guitar doing like arpeggio stuff a little bit. Guitar harmony. The drumming is really good too. The drummer knows how to play and not make it boring. This just has such like a warm quality to it. I love it. It's so good. And then you go to an entirely new chord progression because it makes it more interesting. So then we go from, let me pull up my piano again. We go from the 1 to the 6. To show me that which I can 7 see, even if it hurts me, even if I... And then we go to can't sleep, you know, whatever his British thing. So we go from the 1 and stuff in the verse to this pre-chorus part, and we go to the 6, which is a new chord, the 7 to the 1 to the 5, which is minor. Now here's the thing, when you're in a minor key, most of the time the 5 changes to major, so it goes from like... And I apologize for the really bad audio quality on this piano. I don't know what's wrong with this program that I have, but it just sounds awful. Anyway, so usually it's like 1, 5, 1, but it goes from 1 to 5, which gives it a more mellow, darker feel to it. So listen to this. I'm gonna go back a little bit. 7, major 7, 1. Here we go, minor 5. Repeat that part there. And then it puts kind of like everything that we've built together to this big chorus here at the very end. That's so good. Holds us out. And then the chord changes, but he doesn't. Yeah. And then we fade out. This is one of the few times where a fade out is okay. Usually I don't like fade outs, but the way that this song is structured, it's got like the fade in, and then it builds, and then it fades out. It's okay. It fades out in a good spot. There's another song in here that is amazing, one of the best songs in the album. Could have been the best one, but it fades out. If you know, you know. Let me look at this. So we have... So at the very end, it goes, show me the way. And that note is really, really cool because it creates this tension. Look, we have the C chord, which is this, but he's singing this. So it creates kind of this chord, and it feels incomplete, and then it resolves where he's still holding this, but then the chord goes to... My bad. Then it becomes part of the chord again. So it creates tension by it's not part of the chord, and then the chord resolves around his held note. Let's move on. Summoning. Everyone knows this song. This is the song that made him blow up, basically. Listen to that guitar and bass. One of the best parts about this song is all the rhythmic stuff in the guitar, bass, and drums, especially, because the vocal part is pretty simple. I've got a river running right into you, right? It's like, it's a very like simple rhythm, but one thing that makes it really cool, I just lost the whole thing. One thing that makes it really cool is we're in the key of F minor here. And he's singing on the 4, which is also a non-chord tone. You'll find that he does that a lot. It creates a really, really cool sound. So we're here. I've got a river running right into you. Creates this tension in the beginning part. Let's keep going. And then right there he goes, a taste of the divine. And then he resolves to a note that's in the chord. It's cool, man. It's cool. Keep going. So then at this point we go from here, the 1 chord, right, to this chord, which doesn't feel like it fits into the key signature. And it's at this point that you realize that we're not in F minor, we're in B flat minor. This is our 1. And we're starting actually on the 5. You know, that whole part. And it actually starts on the 5, but it tricks you into thinking that that is the tonic. That's like the main part of the key signature. This is our 1 chord, but it's not. It's actually the minor 5. Again, that minor 5. And then we go to here, and then we have raise me up again. And we finally go to that, the main note, or sorry, we finally go to the main chord in the key, which we haven't had up until now. We don't hit the 1 chord until the chorus hits. Very unique songwriting. Let's keep going. And obviously, you know, the high soaring vocals or whatever, just so good, so good. Back to this like minor 5 sort of feel, and then we got a breakdown. Common sort of thing in metal, but for Sleep Token they don't do it that often. Makes it pretty interesting. My personal favorite part of the song, this part where they feel like they're setting something up, and then it goes into a guitar solo. And you're just like, ooh, listen to that. And it's different, right? Unpredictability. That's the name of the game with Sleep Token. Sorry, I blocked my mic again. I can't hit that note. And then it doesn't go into another verse. It goes back to the chorus. Again, switching up the song structure. I wanted to see the other side. And then we go into this extended chorus part. Show me what it's like. I need to not do that. And then we go into another breakdown. Just extending all the stuff that they've been doing here. Back to this part. I love that little part. And then instead of going into the instead of going into that part of the breakdown again, it goes into this part. And this is what makes the song so interesting. This is why the song blew up. Because they've got that super, super heavy, well, maybe not super heavy, it's not like deathcore heavy. It's like metalcore, I would say. Got that intro part, and then it goes into this for like 1.5 minutes. And it just lets you sit in this ethereal synthy space. And then of course we have the reaction bait part of the song. And they fake you out with that cymbal like it's gonna break down into something again. But no, it goes into this like funky wow bass line part. And this is, I think, where Sleep Tokens show people they're not fooling around. This is, they're going all out with this album. This isn't just one genre. This is like we're gonna do everything basically. And then they bring the chorus back, but instead of it being like a chorus like that we had before with all the heavy stuff, it stays in this part, in this funky part, and then it does that through to the end. And then they do another fake out at the very end. Check this out. And it just kind of ends. Pretty much like out of nowhere. Very unique songwriting, very interesting track, a lot of cool stuff going on. Not my favorite song on the album, but I think there's a really, really good amount of pretty interesting things going on there. Let's move on. Granite. This is one of my favorite tracks in the album. I'm going to do an album ranking at the end and kind of like 1 through 12, which ones are my favorite. I'll do that so you guys can get an idea of where I'm at. But this is one of my favorite tracks in the album. Mainly because we're in one of my favorite keys, B minor. So you've got this part here on the, I'm going to lower my keyboard a little bit. You have something like that, you know, in the bass line, which is not a very common bass line. It's playing around with the chords and it makes it very interesting, but it's just bass, a little bit of drummy stuff kind of later on, like in the background here, his vocals, and then the like that little thing going on. Sorry. Yeah, it switches up later on, but you've got like the you've got that percussion kind of thing that's like very soft, like lo-fi sort of filter on it. I love this melody. Let me explain why, because we're here. Oop. I was more than just a but. So this is, again, we're in the key of B minor. And he's playing, here's our main chord right here. He's singing this note, which is another dissonant note, right? He's singing a note, non-chord tone, not part of the chord, but it works so well. And now listen, now I'm gonna play the chord progression. So you have, I was more than just a body in your passenger seat. You were more than just a body I was destined to meet. Here, again, it's still a non-chord tone. And then we go to, see you go half blind when you're looking at me, but I am. So here, the melody's a not part of the chord. Then it goes to not part of the chord. Then it goes to part of the chord. Into my favorite kind of chord, a major 7 chord. Makes for a very good melody. That is a good melody. That's an amazing melody. Probably my favorite melody on the album. And then the trap drums come in. That bass part is still going, and you can still hear a little bit in the background. That part is still going in the background. Listen in the background. It's very, very subtle, but see if you can hear it. Listen, there's like a really high part that is different. Listen. It gets louder and softer, but it goes like this. It's like a... That's what I think it is. Listen, listen, listen. See if you can hear it. But there's so much going on in the atmosphere, like creating that big sound that they've got in this song. And then we reach the drop. Everything drops. except for this distorted drum part. And then they bring in these synths, and then we get the drum fills, and like the little fill stuff is so good, especially the snap. It's so good. Reminds me of the Viljarta snap on Brandmark. And then we bring back the chorus in this new style. That's a common thread with this album, where he'll switch to a new style. I say he, but you know, like the band as a whole, not just Vessel. Switch to a new style, and then sing a part that we've already had, but in that new style. It's so interesting. And then it does that into the end, and then it has not really like a fade out. It doesn't fade out. It does end, but it just has a little like little tag part at the end where it goes on to the end of the song with the little drummy part in the synths. And then we get to the first truly different song on the album. The other ones were kind of different, but this one is wholly different. Whole as in W-H-O-L-E, not H-O-L-Y. This one is wholly different. It doesn't have any breakdown or like a cool ending part or any heavy bit to it. This is entirely a pop jazz song. They start in with this synth, which if you haven't heard the song before, it kind of introduces you to this track. And then you get these piano chords. Listen to that. We've got that whole little synthy intro part, and then we go into these jazz chords. I'm pretty sure those are the chords, but it kind of catches you off guard because you're not expecting it if you haven't heard the song before, you know? More piano stuff. And then they bring in those 808s. Kind of similar to the 808s they have on Granite. And it's just the 808s that are outlining the chords. It's just like single note 808s. There's not really any harmony in the accompaniment. And then piano picks back up. Bring in some drums. Repeating that first verse, but bringing in the drums now. My brother brought this up to me. This line here, when he says, "Call from Olympus ringing off the hook," after that, he says it sounds like a Windows error message sound, and I can't unhear that now. Listen. Call from Olympus ringing off the hook. That's what it is. I can't hear anything else now. And then we get to the chorus, where it kind of brings everything together. New chords. Listen to these piano chords. I'm not going to go through all the chords here because there's too many of them, but it's very jazzy. Lots of tall chords, lots of like fun inverted stuff. And then we get something extremely rare, piano solo. And if you listen in the background, you'll also hear it sounds like restaurant ambience. There's like clinking and people talking, and it feels like you're in like a jazz lounge in the city. Very, very interesting stuff here. Really great songwriting just all around. A little bit of some jazzy guitar as well with this bridge part. And then instead of dropping into anything crazy, it just picks back up and it continues where it left off from the chorus before. Again, subverting expectations because that's not like the same structure as the other songs had. So it makes it extra fun. And then it just ends. No big drop. That's just it. On to the next track. Heaviest song on the album by far. By far. This song, I'm going to be honest, not one of my favorites, but still pretty good. It's not as advanced musically as the other ones, but the chorus is really good, especially with the higher notes that he hits. I'm just going to play some of it and kind of talk over the parts that I like. Very, very different vocals. They get huge points on this for having such a different vibe to the song. Dude, those highs, man. Vessel can scream. and then it kind of breaks off. You have this like mandolin sounding instrument, and it builds on that melody that the whatever instrument it is, mandolin, lute, definitely it's not just a regular guitar without any filters. It's definitely something, there's something weird going on there. Builds on that, and then we have the high vocal part right here. So good. And then he starts singing. Little pre-chorus ambience going on here. Chorus. Continuing into that first part again. Then we get a softer section. This song contrasts well with the rest of the album because a lot of the rest of the album is like soft, and then there's a heavy section. This song is heavy, and then there's a softer section in the middle. So it's basically the opposite of what they have been doing, and they continue to do with other songs. Back to the chorus part. Such a good melody, dude. And then this song, it fades out. I was playing some wrong notes there, but sorry. But you get the idea with that one, right? It's a pretty good song, but compared to the rest, it's not quite as musically interesting, but it's still really solid. And then we get to, I'm going to spoil it for you, my favorite song on the album. What they do with this song is nothing short of incredible. I'm just going to play it. Just listen. So what's going on the piano here is we have this upper part, which is going... We add a little pedal to it. And then we have the chord part here. We have this chord. And he's playing those open fifths. And then back to the... Wrong chord, sorry. All right, so that upper part keeps going, and it changes a little bit as the chords change. But then we have the one chord, major 3, really briefly major 3, 6, 7, back to the 1, ba, 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 ba. So that's our chord progression here. What you want. He's really lengthening the vowels and the consonants and just really milking the words here. You can hear like how long he holds these out. Someone to be. Like he really drags out the ends of these words, especially like what you want from me. And the second line, he says, you want. So he's dragging all that out and really making it because the whole rest of the song changes up so drastically. And as this is building, you can hear that there's lower notes. He's got lower piano notes, like playing those octaves with the upper piano part, which just enforces what he's already had to make it different. You hear this little ambience? And we got 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Who made you like this? And then we get to this part. It's like, whoa. So if you count that, you can get it. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, bump, bump, bump. 4 and a 1. This whole part here, it's like, what in the world? Because they've never done anything like this before. So completely out of left field when he starts doing this. This sounds like a Weeknd song. This whole part here. Adds a little bit of auto-tune to his voice. You can hear it a lot in this part right here. You can tell that's very auto-tuned. But the point of this is not to use auto-tune as a crutch, but as a vocal effect. And then I've always loved this part. Listen to this part. When he says glitches, his voice goes like glitches. It does like a glitch that sounds like that. You hear that? I didn't catch that the first few times I heard this song. So what he's doing chord-wise here, we have like, so we're in the key of C minor, which I usually don't like songs in C because C I think is a boring key. That's just my opinion. Music is subjective. But in the key of C minor, and then he's got who made you like this? You encrypted your dark gospel in body language. Tell me you guessed my future, and it mapped onto your fantasy. Turn me into your mannequin, and I'll turn you into my puppet queen. Now you might be saying, Corey, are you insane? Look at how much this chord plays around the 5th scale degree. Didn't you say you hated that in your Polaris reaction? Yes. And the truth is, the chords make this song. Just like I said, or if you watched my my reaction to Viper Room, in that video, I mentioned how, what's the song? What's the name of the song? With Regards. I mentioned how With Regards has that chorus where it's it sounds like that, the chorus in With Regards by Polaris. And it plays with the 5th, yes, which I don't really like, but if the chords are good underneath it, it's amazing, like in that song. Same thing here. So we're in the key of C minor. This is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus flying word. Another major 7th chord. So it's playing around with that 5th, but it does it in a way with the chords where it makes it really interesting, and it changes the chords underneath it, which changes where the note fits into the chord or doesn't, as the case may be. And it's done so well. So my hatred of 5th scale degree centric melodies is entirely dependent on the song it's in. And then we get to this section, adding in these trap drums that they've used before. I love that little drop out there, it's so good. I don't know why I'm switching between 2 screens when I could just have it like this, and then it'll always be there. I think I'm going to do that too. I'm going to put the lyrics there. Let me know what you think of this setup, if it's too cluttered or if it looks fine. I can add like some borders or something to make this look cooler. Let me know what you think. Then we get to the drop, here we go. And that part is so good, because up until here we've been in C minor, and then we hit our first, brings us into C major. So it's been minor this whole time, and then it just drops into major, like kind of out of nowhere, and it's really cool. And we get this like lo-fi super distorted guitar, and then I missed it, but you know, I was thinking of other things. It's okay. Probably the best moment on the whole album, if we're being honest. And then it just, bam, it's gone. It's just gone. And we're back into this. We're back into the mellow piano melody. And then the heavies come back in for the outro part. Atmosphere, and then... it's so good. It's fun making a fool of myself, you know? Cuts off the end of the lyrics here, but that's fine. I can tweak that, whatever. And unlike my other favorite song on this album, which could have been my #1 favorite, which you'll see, you probably know what it is. Unlike that other one, this one ends. That my other favorite song fades out. I don't like fade outs. End the song. Don't just cop out to just kind of, we're kind of ending it. No, end the song. That was amazing. Best song on the album, by far. I fixed the lyrics a little bit. It's still a little odd. I'm still messing with this setup. Let me know what you think. If you're watching the video and you're seeing all this stuff, let me know if you think there could be other things I can do with this setup, because I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. Anyway, next track, Are You Really Okay? This one, I think it's a good track, but it's definitely one of my lesser favorites on the album. I think that's probably because it's in the key of C, and I don't like the key of C, as I've mentioned before. It's not a bad song, though, by any means. Really good lyrics, good emotion. Guitar. Really good vocals on this track. I just think instrumentally it's a little weak, and like the chords and melody aren't really as good as some of the other songs on the album, but that's just my opinion. Again, music is subjective. We all know this, right? Hopefully. Then we get some drums and bass coming in. Picks up a little bit for the second chorus. And then Vessel really delivers on these vocals for this outro section. It's a good song. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just when you have an album that is this stacked with absolute bangers, it doesn't compare to some of the other ones. The Apparition, next track. This one, pretty solid. But again, I think compared to some of the other tracks on this album, doesn't really stack up as much as some of the others do in terms of melody. And, you know, I'm a sucker for melody. That's me. You and I. This part is very good, though. I get this little like melody here stuck in my head literally all the time. Trap drums come back in. And then the chorus comes in and it picks up with more like metalcore stuff going on here. Pretty good. Just not a masterpiece like other songs. And then it kind of stays like that to the end. See, pretty good track. It's a good track. I like it. Next one, Do You Wish That You Loved Me? Or DYWTYLM. This song is a little bit divisive. I know people who love it, people who hate it. I think in the context of the album, it works really, really well as like a nice break from the other stuff to have just a straight up pop song. Something that, like, I don't know if Shawn Mendes would probably sing this or something, but I think as a song itself, it's nothing really special. It's just a solid pop tune that they threw in the middle of a otherwise masterpiece filled album. I like whatever vocal effect this is that he's got going on here. The melody is really, really good, which I think works in its favor. That's the one big thing that I love about this song is the melody. But musically, it's a little bit boring. A little bit, if I'm being honest. You got these drums going. Cool little outro section where he repeats the title. Some cool vocal effects similar to Fall For Me. Overall, solid pop song. Moving on, Rain. This one's got a really good piano part, but I do think this is one of the weaker songs in the track on the album. Sorry, this like little chunk of the album I usually skip over. Then we get into the chorus. There's some boom boom cats going on. It's a really good melody too. Then this part of the song is definitely the best. The way it builds right here, it's so good. Drums come in, it's so good. This is the best part of the song. Again, really, really good song, but with the other songs on the album, I just think it doesn't really compare to some of the others. Then we get a little outro. He just keeps repeating Rain Down on Me. Picks up a little bit with the drums and guitar and bass. And then it ends with a rain sound effect. Solid track, but it's definitely one of the weaker ones. And then we reach the title track. This is my second favorite song on the album. And man, it hits so hard. 8.5 minutes, and it earns every second of it. This beginning part, it's so calming. I can't quite explain it, but this gives me Zelda vibes. Specifically Skyward Sword. And I don't know why, but that's what I feel when I listen to this. And then you get those like heavy reverb vocals going on. The fact that he's like really holding onto these chords for so long, and there's not many chord changes in the beginning, I think really sells how this song builds. Back to this. So we're in the key of A flat minor right now. Or G sharp minor, actually. Same thing, but G sharp minor is easier to read. Back to this chord. All the verses in this song are very different, but the choruses are all the same in different styles. It's such good songwriting. Here we go, first chorus. I don't know what that like lion growl is. And then we get to this part where it builds and then it drops, but it backs away. It doesn't stay in that drop place. Again, subverting expectations. Here we go. Here's the drop. Such a good voice, dude. It's got some good vocal range. And then it drops away, and it kind of goes into that Ascensionism rap part right after that heavy bit, which no one was really expecting. See, second verse is very different from the first. Different genre, different style, different melody, everything. Back to the chorus. Another thing, we're in a different key too. We've gone from this key, phosphorescent, to now this key. So we've gone from G sharp minor to E flat minor. Oh yeah, I step up when I wake up. And now we're in here, so we've changed keys, and this isn't the last time we're gonna change keys. Now listen to how these chords go into the next key change. There's your weird transition chord. Up a half step. Up a half step again. I guess it goes to show, does it not, that we've no idea what we've got until we lose it. Now we're in the key of F minor. So we went from G sharp minor to E flat minor to F minor. Very strange, very strange. And then we're staying in that F minor territory. These chords are so good too. He's got like a little bit of vocal harmony too that like layers and then makes a weird sort of like chord tension with his melody. It's so good. And then into the third chorus. Different style again. I think the chorus sounds best in this key out of all three choruses we got. Plus he has that like vocoded sort of vocal effect, like Fall For Me, off the previous album. Sorry, I forgot to mention that when I mentioned that before. And then he references the beginning of Chokehold. Another part right there, he goes. So that bass line is going ba ba ba. That part there, as well as he's singing the beginning of Chokehold, which is the first song on the album. Taking Me Back to Eden. What's the Garden of Eden? It's like the beginning, right? Genesis, the Bible, all that stuff. It's like, take me back to the beginning of the album, the beginning of this relationship when we were happy. You know, that's like the meaning behind the lyrics or whatever. But referencing Chokehold and reinforces that. And I don't know. I think, again, really good songwriting. They definitely thought about this album as a whole and not just like song by song. Like the way the album is structured, it flows so well. And then it just hits you like a truck out of nowhere. And then if they would have ended this somehow, this would be the best song on the album by far. Like the lyricism and the build-ups and the genre changes and the key changes and just everything. This song is so good, but I just hate Fade Out so much that Ascensionism takes first place over this song in my book. And then we reach the final track on the album, YLID. This song means a lot for Sleep Token fans who've been Sleep Token fans for a while. This song feels like an ending to Sleep Token, even though I hope it's not, and I hope they're going to keep making music, but it feels like that. You know, it feels like this is the end. You listen to the lyrics, they reference their very first song off their first album, not the first song they wrote, you know, they had other songs before that, but the first song off their first full album, they reference that at the end, and it feels like an ending, and the melodies are so good. It's so beautiful.
Just run it back, give me 5 whole minutes. I am fixed out on the inside burning. I've got a
Whoa. So this part here, we've got. Every head that won't stop turning. I know the words. I'm just not singing them on purpose. So that chord progression there, I am a huge sucker for chord progressions that just milk like a 2-chord progression and then move on from that, because it creates this tension, because we're in the key here of B flat, but we start on the 4 and then we go to the 6 and then back to the 4 and then back to the 6 and then back to the 4 and then back to the 6 and then maybe like a 5 in there, back to the 4, back to the 6, back to the 4. So it just goes back and forth between these chords. And then it finally hits. We finally go to the 1 eventually when it reaches that other part. Here's the 5. Back to the 6, 4. It's still playing around with the 4, 6, and 5. And then, boom, finally we hit that 1 chord after all that build up. We used to lay beneath. Little 1 inverted. And then we have a reference to the first song off the first album, The Night Does Not Belong to God. And then they layer these 2 parts over each other and just milk it. They just milk this part, and they stay around that 1 chord so much more. It took all this time and there was all this tension, and then bam, we're on the 1 chord, and now we're milking that 1 chord, and it keeps going. And then different key, but same lyrics, same melody, same piano part from The Night Does Not Belong to God. And they don't have anything after this. They just let this be. They just let it exist. And it's over. And that's the end. And they really give the track, like, look at, there's all this, it's still going. Yeah. They really give it time to breathe. So I hope that gave you a little bit of insight into the album and why I love it and some of the musical reasons for why I love it. That's partly why I do this, is so I can explain, like, musically on the piano, like, why I like these chords and these melodies and everything, and why the melodies work with the chords and, you know, all the technical musical stuff. But at the end of the day, that's all an explanation for why the music makes you feel the way it does. So that's why I love this music theory stuff, is because there are, like, scientific reasons for all this stuff, for why the music makes us feel this way. Let's get to my song ranking, because I promised that I would do that. In last place, number 12. I'll put a little text title card up here. Number 12. Are You Really Okay? Good song. You know, no slight to any of these songs that are in the lesser rankings, but the other songs are just so good they can't compare. Last place, Are You Really Okay? 11th place, Rain. Good song, but it doesn't really do quite enough for me where it bumps up higher on the list. It gets a little bit boring on repetitive plays, and I just think it doesn't stack up to some of the other ones. Number 10, Do You Wish That You Loved Me? Really solid pop song. Doesn't really compare to some of the other tracks in the album. Number 9, The Apparition. Really cool use of synths and drum tracks and melodies in here, but not just not quite as good. 8, here we get into everything that I would rank as, like, one of the really, really good songs in the album. So 8 to 1 are, like, amazing. Number 8, Vore. Solid track, but I think after listening to the album so much, it's kind of slipped a little bit, and it's kind of lost its novelty. It was really, really cool when it came out, because it was like, whoa, heavy song, whoa, but it's lost a little bit of its novelty and slipped a little bit down from where I would have placed it when I first heard the album. Number 7, The Summoning. This one might be shocking for some people, but again, I think this is a song that kind of loses its novelty the more that you hear it. I think the first few times you hear it, it's amazing, and then you hear it more and more and more, and in the context of the album, it works really well from, like, where it is and everything. But there are other songs that are just written so much better as masterpieces and melody-wise and everything. No slight to Summoning. Again, this is all my opinion. Don't come at me in the comments. 6, Chokehold. Solid intro track. Really good. I think Chokehold is better than The Summoning. I think it's a really amazing track just all around, and the contrast it has and the melodies and the way it builds. It's so good. Number 5, Aqua Regia. One of the most different songs in the album. It's just a straight up jazz piano ballad. It's really, really different from all the other ones, and I think it really stands out as one of the highlight tracks because of that. Number 4, YLID. This song is up this high based on emotion alone, and how it references the beginning of where they started with their first album, and just the melodies, and then, like, the layering, and, like I mentioned, the way that it plays with the other chords that aren't the one chord, and then it finally goes to the one chord, and it finally feels like the tension is resolved after, like, a long time. It works so well. The melodies are so good. Number 3, Granite. I love this song. I've loved this song since it came out. This was my favorite of all the singles since it came out. It's just an amazing song. The drop is so good. The melody is awesome. When it kicks into that, like, trap drum beat, it's super, super cool. Just all around amazing track. 2, the title track, Take Me Back to Eden. This one, you know, I said everything I want to say about it when I was talking about it. It's amazing. The structure of it is awesome. The way that the verses are completely different, but the choruses are the same, just in a different key every time, is so good. It's such creative songwriting. And it is only brought down to second place because of its fade out ending. Number 1, Ascensionism. By far, best track. The structure is amazing. The way that the different sections flow into each other is amazing. The use of different genres and styles is amazing. The length of the song being over 7 minutes, just over 7 minutes, it works really well in the song's favor because it allows it to have those different sections where it feels like a more proggier song. It doesn't feel like some of the other songs on the album. And Taking Back to Eden and Ascensionism are the 2 longest songs in the album, but when you listen to the songs, they don't feel like they're that long. They really use up, and they deserve every second of their longer, you know, longer. I put in heavy quotations because like pop songs are like 2-3 minutes, and this is like double the time. But you know, for people who are into metal and prog and all that, like 7-8 minutes is nothing. But yeah, Ascensionism is a masterpiece. It's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. It is the perfect Sleep Token song, and I think probably my favorite Sleep Token song overall. I think it overtook The Offering as my favorite Sleep Token song. Amazing. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this album, song by song, what I think of each song, why I like each song, how they all fit into the structure of the album. I think it's amazing. If you want to see more of these analysis type videos, leave a like, subscribe. I definitely want to do more. I think my next one is going to be for both Mastodon albums, which I have up on my wall. I'll pull them down, I'll show you the little vinyls, and I will talk about both of them. But that one's going to be a long video because together, the runtime of them, if you just look like pure musically, the runtime is 2.5 hours. So it's a lot to do. So that's going to be a long video, but I really want to do it because those albums I think are the peak of music. I think they have achieved the highest point in music that humanity has gone so far. And I know that's a big claim to make, but I truly believe that. And I want to explain that in my video and like go track by track, do the same thing I did with this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope to catch you around another video, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.